Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles!
It began life as a murderous dictator's dream, but became a symbol of peace and love around the world. It's a pop culture icon that shared the screen with such legends as Kevin Bacon, Optimus Prime, and Lindsay friggin' Lohan. And at one point, it was the best-selling car of all time. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Volkswagen Beetle. It's 1934, and Germany's not doing so great. That summer, a failed artist named Adolf Hitler seized power after Germany's president Hindenburg died in his home at the age of 87. Hitler mandated that Germany have a state car, something the average family could afford. To bring the Volkswagen concept to life, the German government brought in a race car engineer named Ferdinand Porsche. Porsche's job was to make a vehicle that was small, yet big enough to fit a whole family, simple enough to use and maintain anywhere, and dependable enough that people could drive it practically forever. The final body design reflected a trend at the time for sleek, round vehicles. The look didn't leave much room for a trunk, which didn't matter because Porsche did that thing that Porsche does. He designed an air-cooled boxer engine and shoved it in the butt. But it turned out old Ferdinand might have taken a little inspiration from somewhere else, Czechoslovakia. More specifically, the small Czech automaker Tatra. They saw the Volkswagen and noticed it looked a little familiar, so they sued him. And what do you do when you're a megalomaniacal dictator who gets sued over cars? That's right, you invade the country and take over the factory. As the totally original design came together, it was time to start building it. Technically, this was a government project under a division called Strength Through Joy, or in German, Kraft durch Freude. Kraft durch Freude. They built a brand new factory for the car, and would you guess what they called the town they built around this new factory? The City of Strength Through Joy at Fallersleben. Nazis are so creative. In 1938, the factory began rolling out the first production cars off the line. The first units were all given to high-ranking military personnel, and the first convertible was given to Hitler himself. Thing is, though, it was 1938, and Hitler needed every factory in Germany to start exclusively producing military vehicles. So with only 210 of its original KDF wagons built, the factory shut down production to focus on the military effort, an effort that would go poorly for the factory, Germany, Europe, and the entire world. Cut to 1945. When the Second World War ended, Germany was a pile of rubble. The Fallersleben factory had been bombed. The occupying British forces in charge of the area found the original production line parts for the KDF wagon. British car makers were invited to bid on the production line parts so they could mass produce the vehicle back in the UK. But nobody wanted it. Okay, mates, okay, chaps, I have production parts for a little Nazi car. Going for £1 million. £1 million, can I get £1 million?
I don't know about you, mate. I think that car's ugly and slow.
I agree entirely, mate.
Would you like to go get some tea and custard?
Oh, I love tea and custards.
Let's go to the Buckingham's. Buckingham's is my favourite tea and custard shop.
Shall we take your carriage?
Right.
Right. In 1946, the factory was rebuilt after the city was renamed Wolfsburg. Since the British didn't want to take it, the production line was reassembled and cars started rolling. No more strength through joy. The car was now simply the Volkswagen Type 1. Once again, the first models were all given to military personnel, this time for the occupying forces. In 1949, the British handed off control of the factory to an ex-Opel executive named Heinz Nordhoff. With the factory rebuilt and Germany as a whole slowly coming back, the new company called Volkswagen was ready to live harmoniously with the rest of the world. The Volkswagen Type 1 started selling around Western Europe, including its native Germany, where it first garnered the nickname the Beetle. But Europe in the late 40s was still recovering from those head Nazis. If you wanted to sell to a market with a big population, lots of money, and roads that weren't all blown up, you had to go to America. But at first, no dealership in the US wanted to touch the little car. The Beetle only had 24 horsepower. It looked weird. And when you pressed the horn, you would hear Hitler screaming, "Nine, nine, nine!" Volkswagen's first few efforts to sell in America went nowhere. VW managed to get a few dealerships to take on their cars in 1950, and against all expectations, the little bug started to sell. The car was cheap, much more affordable than most other cars on the market. Second, it was a rugged and reliable machine, even on unpaved roads. Third, if it did break, repair was relatively simple and inexpensive. The people's car became the people's choice. By 1955, 8 years after going to market, Volkswagen had sold 1 million Beetles. Meanwhile, its simple construction made it easy to custom re-engineer at home. In particular, outdoorsy types stripped the bug way down to make a tough-like vehicle for crossing sandy areas like deserts or beaches. What did they call a bug that drives on the dunes? A dune buggy! Dune buggies became a pop sensation in their own right, especially in California surfer culture, dude. They would cut off the whole body of the car, put a new fiberglass body on it, and rip up the beaches, pulling tail.
Hey, you guys want to go hit up Old Man's? I heard it has pretty good swell right now.
Who was that? That's Jason. He's like one of the best surfers on the whole beach. He's really cute. I know. Real dreamboat. Huh? Yeah. But you know what I heard? What? He has herpes. Suddenly, Beetles were cool. In 1972, Volkswagen produced its 15,007,034th Beetle. They threw a big old party for it at the factory. Why did anyone care about this random number? Because that was exactly how many Ford Model Ts were ever produced. And that made the Beetle the best-selling car of all time! Honestly, I bet it wasn't much of a party.
Congratulations on the big number. Thank you. Back to work?
Back to work. Even though sales were good, its days were numbered. Volkswagen saw the need for a modernized replacement and released the Golf in 1974. The Golf was a small, cheap, and reliable people's car, but made nearly double the horsepower and, wasn't designed by the most notorious mass murderer in the history of the planet. Buyers around the world shifted from the Beetle to the Golf pretty quickly. And by around the world, I mean everywhere except Mexico and Brazil, where apparently the people loved the Beetle so much that they refused to stop buying it. The Beetle was produced in Mexico until 2003. In the end, the Volkswagen Type 1 sold 21 million units worldwide. And its core tenets of simplicity, dependability, and affordability inspired a whole new category of cars from makers around the world. In 1998, Volkswagen decided to bring the icon back to life in its first major refresh and update in the Beetle's history. The new Beetle, as it was called, was a more modern machine with 150 horsepower and a nicer interior. Underneath, it was basically a Golf. The new Beetle captured interest the world over, and pretty soon, a shiny Beetle was a common sight once again. In 2001, Volkswagen decided to really push the car and made the limited edition RSI, which got 221 horsepower. This led to a full production run of the Turbo S, which featured, you guessed it, a turbocharged engine capable of 180 horsepower. 1.8T, never lose! And Volkswagen still produces the new Beetle today. The Volkswagen Beetle is the little car that could. The pipe dream of a tyrant that went on to charm the whole world and became a symbol of love. Whether riding around on the roads or sand dunes, it could be found in nearly every country on Earth. It was a sales sensation. It's still a pop culture icon. No matter how far it's gone, it has never forgotten its roots. Well, I mean, most of them. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Volkswagen Beetle. Bug, love bug. Oh, there goes the Beetle. Why is that a thing? Why does the Beetle come with a flower on the dashboard? Do they still? It's stupid. I'd put weed in it. We made a cool video with a cool Beetle. It's called Quantum Drift. You should watch it on YouTube's. How many people have you ever fit in a Volkswagen Beetle? How many Volkswagen Beetles have you ever fit in a person? Send me $1 for my Lambo. I still want one. Oh, follow me on Instagram, @JamesPumphrey. If I get 10,000 followers, I will pick one at random and send them something weird. It probably won't be car related, and it might be perishable. It might have been grown on my body. Got a lot of new shows coming out. Mondays, we got Wheelhouse. Tuesdays, we got Matt Field's FD Corvette build. Wednesdays, we have Science Garage with Bart. Thursdays, we got this fucking show. And Fridays, we have Tony's Top 10s. Watch all of them. It's all funny. It's all educational. It's all donut. Those guys are all my friends. If those shows are successful, then I'm successful. Hitler is probably the only guy that I hate more than my dad. I don't hate my dad, I just miss him. I don't miss Hitler at all. You Nazi. Peace, frickin' love, and metal. Wow.